Welcome to the weekly market wrap-up. I'm Hannah Bernard. It was another rough week for the equities market, with the major indices losing more than 2% of valuation out of the starting gates. Things did improve by midweek, but we have to ask, will Wall Street's latest one-off performance be enough to fend off mass panic? Let's find out. The major indices are still finding themselves running behind their opening week performance, even though Thursday's market action offered some respite, with the S&P 500 leading the way, closing up 1.24%. The Dow regained 188 points to close up 1.22%, and the Nasdaq also gained on Thursday, closing up 1.14%. Canadian markets followed the U.S. trend this week, taking a huge dive earlier in the week and then bouncing back, with the TSX closing on Thursday up over 153 points to close at 13,713. The TSX Venture Exchange also regained losses, closing up over 10 points on Thursday. So what's behind this market panic? The biggest risk facing the financial system stems from emerging markets, particularly in Asia, where Chinese financial and manufacturing data continues to cause damage, fueling bearish sentiment worldwide. The Japanese Nikkei 225 has also suffered enormous volatility, down nearly 11% year to date. Both regional powers are nervously eyeing a potential dovish statement by the European Central Bank and a positive jobs report from the U.S. Labor Department, which could provide a much-needed spark to their respective domestic economies. While economists polled by Reuters are expecting a 150% improvement in U.S. employment numbers, Japan's Daiwa Securities warns that another soft month could devastate global equities. With so much hanging in the balance, investors are urged to consider protective measures for their portfolio. All right, let's move over to winners and losers and our picks for the week. The winner for this week is Sprint, ticker symbol S. Sprint was able to buck a 6-day losing streak with an 8.4% move on Wednesday, placing it at number 7 of the top 10 stocks traded on the New York Stock Exchange that day. A large contributor to Sprint's single-day performance are rumors that it's close to securing a $45 billion debt financing deal in preparation for a takeover bid for T-Mobile. Earlier this week, Sprint and the FCC likely met to discuss the merger, which previously faced public resistance from government officials. The loser for this week is Radio Shack, ticker symbol RSH. Investors dumped out of Radio Shack en masse on Tuesday and Wednesday, leading to a total loss of more than 10%. Despite a hilarious rebranding message that was aired during the Super Bowl, and one that was well received by the general public, Radio Shack could not quell the rumor department, with the news leaking out that 500 stores are close to closure. Turning now to precious metals, it was a relatively slow week overall. However, gold did get off to a fast start on Monday, moving up over 1.2% on the COMEX as macroeconomic unease, particularly centered on the emerging markets, pushed money into safe haven assets. On Thursday, gold closed at $1,257, essentially flat against the prior, as traders wait in anticipation for the release of the jobs report. Silver also started the week on a positive note, but its biggest move came on Wednesday when it popped up 2%, which was primarily due to technical short covering. Thursday's market action saw a move up 0.25% to close 5 cents shy of $20. Finally, Palladium saw a positive 1% move on Wednesday, which helped put a stopgap to 11 straight down days. Global economic concerns have been weighing heavily on Palladium, which is primarily an industrial metal tied to fortunes of cyclical names. That's enough about this week. Now let's turn to baystreet.ca's look at the week ahead and the snapshot of what analysts are forecasting for companies whose earnings reports are coming out next week. Here are 3 U.S. stocks to watch. On Monday, Hasbro Inc. comes out with an EPS estimate of $1.22. The company recently announced that they will be webcasting presentations from their annual investor event at Toy Fair on Friday. FireEye Inc. is out on Tuesday with an EPS estimate of a loss of 42 cents. And lastly, on Wednesday, Cisco Systems with an EPS estimate of 41 cents. Last week, Cisco and AGT International announced a Smart City Global Strategic Alliance that will deliver the promise of the Internet of Everything through edge analytics and cloud technologies, dramatically changing the way cities are managed and safeguarded. Checking in on Canadian stocks to watch out next week. Out on Monday is Great-West Lifeco with an EPS estimate of 60 cents compared to 37 cents from the same quarter last year. And a big day for Canadian media companies on Wednesday. First up is Thomson Reuters Corporation with an EPS estimate of 53 cents. Last week, Thomson Reuters announced it has added award-winning news sentiment data, including sentiment analysis of Twitter feeds, to its flagship financial markets desktop. Rogers Communications Inc. is also out on Wednesday with an EPS estimate of 75 cents. This compared to 88 cents in the same quarter last year. And that wraps it up. Thanks again so much for joining us for another weekly market wrap-up. Before you head out for the weekend, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook and on Twitter. For Viral Network News, Crush the Street, and baystreet.ca, I'm Hannah Bernard.